Let's cross to Victoria in the lovely town of St Anard and catch up with the Nationals Senate Leader Bridget McKenzie. Good to talk to you, Bridget. I was up in northern New South Wales earlier in the week. It's so good to see so much of the eastern seaboard where the drought has broken. People have got a spring in their step, and you've got the inland rail rolling out as well.
Absolutely, Chris. It's fantastic to be in St Arnaud tonight. We've got 100 years of the Victorian Nationals event. Over 100 people coming here to listen to the Deputy Prime Minister and gather and celebrate our party representing regional Australia for over a century, which is great. But you're dead right. The bumper season here in Victoria, southern New South Wales, some great rains, which is really good news. But it's always useful to remember, Chris, and your listeners and viewers would know that it takes 3 to 5 years to get over a drought for our primary producers. So there's a little ways to go to get back to that financial position that they would have been in prior to drought. But we have the Deputy Prime Minister through the northeast of Victoria talking inland rail and actually the work the ARTC has done on our track through from Melbourne to Wodonga, actually repairing it over the COVID period, and 173 local businesses were part of that procurement exercise, which is a lot of local jobs at a very difficult time, which is great news.
As we're speaking, we're seeing pictures of drought. Very, very depressing. I like to see it how it is now. That's wonderful. Yeah. But what was interesting up around Tamworth and Moree, where there's plenty of water now, people are still focused on water. They want to make sure that the dams are being built. And what a lot of farmers told me is they're very, very worried about environmental flows because they know that when times get tough, they see a lot of water go down the river that they don't think should.
Well, there's nothing more frustrating than when you're going drought and you're seeing environmental flows going to water, environmental assets way down the river while you're just trying to keep your head above water, food on your family's table and feed the rest of Australia. So very, very frustrating. And you're dead right. We need to build the infrastructure during good times so that we can harvest the water when it falls, as it will over coming days, particularly in northern New South Wales, from the sky, so that we can use it through our tough times, because this will not be the last drought we see. And I guess that when we had the Water Minister in Victoria and New South Wales, the Southern Basin last week, we made it very clear to him that our farmers are given enough money via their water entitlements to the Murray-Darling Basin Authority to fulfil those environmental flows, and we're not giving any more. So it was great to see his commitment, our government's federal commitment to say no more water off farm, which is great news. And I think, Chris, you like a science-backed approach to policy. I like a science-backed approach to policy. I want to see the science that underpinned determining those environmental flows over a decade now re-examined, because we know more now, 10 years on. We can water those environmental assets to get the right environmental outcome with less water, which means we could put potentially more water back into productive use. Great news for regional communities.
Yeah, Bridget, I just want to get your thoughts on the electoral redistribution that's come out today. The Coalition effectively loses a seat in Western Australia and the opposition, Labor, pick up a seat in Victoria. Effectively, on paper, then, the government's already in a minority government situation. It makes your re-election chances a hell of a lot tougher.
Well, Chris, we don't take anything for granted. Every time you go to an election, you've got to put a proposition on the table for the Australian people that they want to re-elect you, in our case. And we'll be working very, very hard between now and any election to make sure that the value proposition we put to voters, whether they're in a Liberal-held seat, a National Party-held seat or a Labor Party-held seat, that we have the candidates and the nous and the commitment to deliver for Australia. And I think that's absolutely the thing we have to re-prosecute every single election, and we'll be doing that going forward from now. So, yes, it's going to be tight. They always are, and that's why it's important we have a solid proposition for Australian voters.
Thanks for joining us, Bridget, and happy birthday to the Nats.
Thanks, Chris.
Senator Bridget McKenzie there in St Anard. I'm not pronouncing that well. Anard in Victoria. I haven't been there, but it's in the Mallee in Victoria, apparently.